When people see something happening on the street that they know is not an isolated incident, it is a part of a pattern that has been rolling through the lives of people for decades, it does give people the strength and the desire to say this has to end somewhere and it has to end sometime, and I'm going to do my part to see it end in my lifetime.
There's nothing more valuable on this planet than helping other people, than living a life of service for other human beings. Wealth doesn't matter, popularity doesn't matter, power doesn't matter. Helping other human beings, dedicating your life to uplifting other people. There's nothing more important than that. And we have gotten to where we have as a species because of people having empathy and dedicating their lives.
The reason that I do what I do is because I want my kids to live in a world that I wish I had gotten born into. I want my kids to feel loved and valued and appreciated, no matter who they love, or no matter what they look like, or no matter what their background is, or what they choose like for their religion or their spirituality.
I always found it to be a gap that of all my classmates, I was almost always the only Black child in any classroom. My history was one that simply never came up, was never addressed in any way. Through all the work I do, I think about young Black Calgarians, specifically young Black Albertans who have not had access. They don't even know their own story. They don't even know how long we've been here and the contributions we've made because they are denied access to this history. It's just nowhere. It's very difficult to access if you don't know it's there. So people often feel very alone and isolated in their experiences of racism. And people often even internalize it and ask themselves, well, was it me? Is it me? Especially because in Canada, we keep telling ourselves that we don't have racism. So therefore, when you experience racism, but that's the narrative that you've been given, you think it's you. You think, well, I guess I'm the one lightning rod because these things keep happening to me, but I live in a country where it doesn't happen.
Like, I've lived in the city my entire life. I do not believe that the average person in this city is actively consciously racist. And I say that because I've fought people who are actively consciously racist. That doesn't mean that we don't live in a racist system. That doesn't mean that white people don't benefit from it because white supremacy exists, white privilege exists, but it's not the same. And honestly, we look at that rally that happened with the last Black Lives Matter rallies. That is literally one of the largest anti-racist rallies I've seen in my life. That's historic.
Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter!
In that sense, people are learning and growing and developing. Could this develop in waves? Maybe. This could be the start of something broader. This is very hard to say because, again, the main difference between when I got started and now is the focus on social media and digital activism. And it's so easy to post content every day and like and share. But if you're not out here in these streets, if you're not out here in your interpersonal relationships, changing the way you act, think, and behave, what has that really done?
Acknowledgement. There's like so many people who are like, this isn't a problem. And if they actually spend the time getting to know and talking to people who have experienced, racism or have experienced inequality, they will actually start to understand just how deep this problem runs. And the fact that if you shut it down and you believe it doesn't exist, it doesn't make it go away. It's still going to be there. And it's just going to keep festering under the surface. So my biggest wish is that people can come together and just throw that those assumptions out of the way and actually start to look at what's happening as a whole.
We're always at the whim of who's in power. And policy decisions go a long way toward creating lasting change. Right now, I'm not seeing policy decisions that I think will contribute to create or sustain lasting change.
What matters now is that people get active, and that means that they educate themselves, they educate others, and ultimately get organized. It has to be that. People have to get, in that sense, more political. And it's a shame that people say, this isn't political, this is my emotions. Everything is political because everything at a certain point depends upon policy.